Hey there, Jake here from CVP. Powered zoom lenses have been around for years now, but recently more and more companies have been releasing them for a range of mirrorless mount camera systems. And Canon actually recently announced their latest lens, the RF 20-50mm f4PZ-L IS-USM powered zoom lens, which is what sparked the idea for this video. So in today's video, we are going to explore powered zoom lenses, discuss the different options that are available, and explain how they can be used by solo videographers all the way up to the biggest live broadcasts in the world. I would say that there are three levels of powered zooms. You have solo shooter options like this new Canon lens, which will often be used on smaller mirrorless cameras, up to cameras as large as the Sony FX9. Canon, Sony, Nikon, and Panasonic all have servo-driven mirrorless lenses, and of course, they are often found on traditional camcorders. Then you have larger lenses that can have optional servo units attached, like Canon's other powered zoom L-series lenses, and other zooms like Ingenu's EZs. Then you have more dedicated broadcast style lenses. These can range from traditional broadcast style lenses like this legendary Canon HJ14, all the way to larger cine servo zooms like Canon's brand new CM30, which looks insane. Having a zoom that you can control smoothly at a range of speeds has its benefits, and how you use a zoom like this can completely change depending on the production it's on or the creative intent. Having a powered zoom honestly makes you think a little bit differently creatively, especially if you are used to using mirrorless cameras primarily where they are harder to come by. First off, the smooth zooms you can get are pretty hard to achieve with manual zoom lenses. As soon as you touch your lens, you could introduce shakiness, so being able to execute nice smooth zooms will provide a different look and feel to your video. As you can program how fast or slow a servoed lens can be, you can control the feel of your zoom as well, whether that's a nice long slow zoom or a faster crash one for more impact. A power zoom can do both. As you are controlling the zoom electronically effectively and not physically moving the lens via a manual control, it does mean a power zoom lens isn't quite as responsive as a manual one. And that means that manual lenses can be faster to operate, and I do think a manual zoom can perform crashes better by hand or motor than a powered zoom. But it does mean you can zoom consistently and repeatedly, which is much harder to do by hand with a manual zoom. This consistency and repeatability again makes you think slightly differently, and is great for more controlled shots. Powered zoom lenses are also great for gimbal use as well, because in the right configuration you don't need to zoom on the lens itself. You can use the internal motors again. This means you can keep your rig light and use a zoom on smaller gimbals while still controlling your zoom nicely. If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest kit, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to buy anything you see in this video, head over to cvp.com where our experienced team is waiting to help you. Controlling a powered zoom lens can change depending on what kind of setup you have. First off, you have control of the lens. This could be like the servo mechanism on this 20-50mm, which is a super minimal design for solo operators and internal to the zoom's design. The cameras that you are putting this type of lens onto often will also commonly have control of the zoom on the camera. Take for example the Canon R6V or C50, which both have this rocker, or the FX6, which has this rocker on its brilliant handle. Having this control on the camera or a camera grip is really useful and keeps things nice and compact. You then have servos on the sides of different lenses. This is often a grip on the side of the lens as well, and this allows you to hold your rig nicely while offering zoom control normally on some kind of rocker. This is common to find on more broadcast style lenses that are often used on the shoulder, so they are ergonomically designed to work well just like that. However, you can also control a lot of these lenses independently, remotely via focus and zoom demands. These are great ways to control focus and zoom while operating a camera on a tripod, for example. You will often see these types of rigs at live events and studio setups, and there is a real skill to controlling big zooms with these. The last control method can be fully remotely, which can be great for not only multicam work being controlled by just one person, but also larger broadcast productions. The blending of cinema technology into broadcast workflows has been happening for years, and the introduction of more powered zoom lenses that can be used with larger sensor cameras is part of that change. We have seen cameras like Sony's FR7 come in and be used by loads of different productions wanting better image quality, large sensor cameras, but that behave like PTZs. Full remote operation of PTZ systems is crucial. So powered zooms or adapted zooms with systems like this one from Croziel allow the FR7 to slide right into these types of workflows. This new 20-50mm from Canon is going to be great for these types of workflows, as it can be fully controlled remotely via any of Canon's cameras that have XC protocol. Another awesome workflow, which is especially exciting for Canon as support for this is coming to their cameras soon, is Middlethings Control Pro 3. This software allows you to control Sony cameras paired with DJI gimbals in the same kind of workflow as you would a PTZ. So you can use a camera like an FX3 paired with an RS4 Pro and have full camera control, pan tilt of the gimbal, and then with the right lens, powered zoom. There are some really unique workflows out there now, and our technical team are on top of all these new configurations in this space. Honestly, every time I visit our central London showroom, they have a new and unique setup there to show off to me. If you want to get hands-on with any of this kit yourself, or just swing by for a coffee and a chat about kit, please pop into any of our UK or European showrooms. We had a lot of fun shooting with this 20-50mm lens while we had it on the recently released R6V, which we talked about in a previous video. This new lens is actually Canon's first L-series powered zoom lens that doesn't require an optional servo unit. The first thing that struck me about this lens was just how incredibly compact and light it is. It's one of the smaller L-series lenses I've ever seen. Given its zoom range, zoom function, image circle, and consistent f4 aperture, it's actually pretty impressive what Canon have achieved here. It pairs really nicely with a lot of Canon's RF cameras, and thankfully it has optical stabilization, which is really helpful as all of Canon's cinema cameras don't have sensor stabilization. It's a focus by wire zoom, so when you have it in that regular mode, it isn't quite as responsive as a manual lens. Using this little mechanism switch here, which is really clever, you can put the lens into the power zoom mode. When you have it in the servo mode, you can control it in a range of different ways, including on the lens, which has a nice little bit of bounce to its operation. You can really dial in how this behaves in the R6V. You can control how fast a slight rotation is versus a full rotation in both standby and while recording. I personally would set it to be as fast as possible while on standby, so you can reframe quickly and crash to focus and then zoom out, and then have it at whatever speed you want for when you're recording. 20-50mm is a pretty decent zoom range. 20mm on full frame is actually pretty wide, and 50mm is of course a very good standard. I think because of its size, weight, and its internal zoom, I think it's going to be great for gimbal use as well. It paired with smaller cameras like the R6V is a really nice light package that is awesome to use handheld. The optical stabilization paired with the excellent unique zoom ring makes it an absolute joy to use. It also provides a nicely detailed image for its size, and is actually decently parfocal. One thing I noticed when doing these tests though is that if you zoom too fast, we can see the illumination corrections change throughout the focal range. But if you are filming a regular shot in a normal scenario and don't crash zoom, you can't really see it too badly. Distortion also looks well controlled on Canon cameras. Breathing is also incredibly well controlled even with focus breathing correction off in Canon's modern cameras, which this lens is compatible with. The close focus is also pretty good at 24cm throughout the lens, though it does get a little closer than that at the wide end. This is a killer little video focus lens, which I think is going to be great for compact, discrete documentary packages, cine PTZ setups, and even regular creators wanting a versatile zoom that pairs really nicely with the R6V and C50. I really hope this video has helped shed some light on why powered zooms could be a great option for you to consider. They can really streamline your workflow and make you think differently when shooting, and personally, I love experiencing that. I look at so much new kit nowadays, so when something comes along that is just fun to use and makes me think differently, it's infectious when shooting. And everyone who's used the R6V paired with this lens has remarked how fun it is to use. The 20-50mm is available to pre-order now on our website, but if you want to check it out for yourself before pulling the trigger, please reach out to our fantastic demo team to arrange a demo in one of our UK or European showrooms. Anyway, let us know what you think of this new lens down in the comments below. And if you like the video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.